What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very, very good day today, no matter where you live, no matter what time it is, no matter when you watch this video, even if it's days after I upload it, or weeks, months, or even years, I still want to say, I wish you a very good day. And so with that being said, today I'm here to discuss the finale of Kakegurui. So, just a brief FYI, from what I've been hearing from many that have watched this episode, apparently this was anime original, and the anime original episode was apparently written by the actual mangaka, the writer of the manga series. So, what we got here in this episode was kind of a way to give closure to anime-onlys that don't want to read the manga, but at the same time give closure because there might not ever be a Season 2, which I do respect that. In a way, I do respect that quite a bit, because if, you know, the series, like the studio working on it, and even the writer himself doesn't believe that there'll ever be a Season 2, then I do like it to when a company decides, at the very least, give some form of closure to the series. I mean, even if in some ways it's bad, it's a little bit better than just waiting for a possibility of a Season 2, but then never getting it ever at all. I mean, decade passes and you're still waiting on like a Season 3. I'm looking at you, Spice and Wolf. So what I'm getting at is that basically this episode was anime original. So if you are a manga reader and you notice that it felt very different, or it was different, well, it's because it was anime original. Now, does that automatically make the finale bad? No, I don't think it does. I legit don't. It depends on how it was executed. And overall, in terms of anime original content, I feel like this is one of the better ways to end a series, especially if they're going to go anime original. This was a pretty decent ending. I mean, even though it didn't follow the manga, it was a decent ending. Personally, to me, as a, anime only, I feel like this was a solid conclusion, and you're like, this is okay, I can deal with this, I'm fine with this, and I can carry on, and, I can go to something else, or I can read the manga if I want to know more. And I like the way this was kind of settled. So let's get into it. This episode was basically the student council president versus Yumiko. That's what the entirety of this episode was about. Now, overall, in terms of the gambling wasn't as intense as the previous episodes, because when you have other episodes that are literally where you're staking your life on the line and all that, the stakes of this episode wasn't really that crazy, because the main thing at risk was Yumiko or the student council president. They had to leave if they lost. Like, if they lost, they had to leave this, the school, and they could never come back. They could never step foot in the school ever again. And in a lot of ways, this seems very, low compared to the other stuff we have seen thus far from the series. So in terms of anime original content, when it came to that, I think relatively that was not as impressive, because just after betting your life on the line and all sorts of other things, I just don't think, oh, you don't get to stay in the school is, really that bad, honestly. I believe that the stakes would have been oh, you can never gamble again. I feel like that would have been a better punishment. I feel like that legit would have been a very good outcome to the series. Imagine this, okay? Student council president and Yumiko, they both gamble, and then the risk is whoever loses can never gamble again. That right there sounds amazing, because that is one of the biggest risks that, they could ever take, because they love gambling. They're compulsive gamblers. So when you have something like this taken away from them, it would really add up a lot. Holy crap, they're really risking something more than life, because gambling means more than life to them. And if they lost that, that would be one of the greatest things that they could risk. So I figured something like that would happen, but that was not the case. Like I said, it's just staying in school. So even if Yumiko did lose, or even if the student council president lost, they could still go out and gamble and do whatever they want again. So it's not like it's GG for them. So in terms of risk, the episode, when that came to that anime original content, it wasn't really that good. Now, besides that, when it came to the overall actual game, using the cards and stuff, I loved it. Big fan. I love, tarot cards and all that. I love getting to see the Fool, the World, the Magician. I love stuff like that. I love it from any series that uses stuff like this, and I was just a big fan. I'm like, oh, this is really nice. This is just making me smile, and that's just my personal preference. It doesn't mean that was good. It just, I like that. I like those type of things when it pops up in anime or manga or any form of literature. I really like that, especially how the Fool was being used to, win, the match. Whoever grabbed the Fool would automatically win. It was the equivalent to the Golden Snitch in this match with this gambling game, which is something I want to talk about. So, the card that Susui could have selected that could have been the Fool we didn't really get to see it. He denies it and says there's no way it could be, and he takes the risk of choosing another card, which in fact makes it to where the game turns into a draw, and everybody gets kind of like a happy conclusion, but we never got to see the card. We never really got to see if the card was the Fool or something else. I see where the series went with that, but at the same time, it makes me not sleep any better. For instance, when the little, gamer girl, and she's like, you would sleep a lot better if you just don't know what it is, I'm like, okay, I can understand that logic, but at the same time, since I'm a watcher or / reader of something, usually something like that really bugs me. It really just plagues my mind, because, like, I want to know, like, what would have happened if he would have selected that, got that card? Would, Yumiko would have won? Would she have lost? It really just makes you think. And I mean, I do like how the ending tried to make you think on that, but still, I guess there's more of a message there than anything else. Regardless, though, the episode ended off with a happy note. I mean, for a gambling series, of course. It was a very happy ending. I figured this series would have some form of tragic or sad ending, especially since it's wrapped around gambling and taking risk and stuff. I mean, when you look at the series, like the entirety of it, there really wasn't anything, like, too bad for Yumiko. Like, she didn't lose a whole lot, and I feel like that was one of the biggest mistakes of this series, is that Yumiko was constantly either winning, or in this case, she ended up in a draw, and there was just a happy conclusion. I would have really have loved if, like, the series ended off with Yumiko having to give up gambling. She lost, and she lost one of the biggest things that she ever wanted, or wanted to do, which was gambling, and if she lost that, that would have made something really cool with her character. Like, she would have had a really interesting conclusion to her character, and it would have been kind of tragic for her, but it allowed her to open up to new things, new adventures, and be a better person or something, instead of always relying on gambling. I would have liked something like that, but we had a happy conclusion. Yumiko gets to stay in the school, the student council president, she gets to stay in the school, and everything just carries on like nothing really even happened at all. So that was about it. That was really what the episode was about. Now, obviously, when it comes to the finale, there was, the sadistic faces. We got to see Yumiko just like, she was hype-gasming or fangasming on the fact that Suzui was, he was taking a risk and all that alongside her. She got really excited about that. And then we got to see a little bit of an epilogue with all of the other characters, which was nice. That was a nice little addition to the episode, especially since this is an anime original, and there's probably never going to be a season 2, which I do appreciate that aspect, giving us a little bit clarification of what's been going on. But that's about it. I mean, overall it was decent. It was an okay ending. It was nothing, like, terrible. It wasn't like, Love and Lies terrible from, early last week. I feel like this finale was good, just nothing amazing. It was nothing like, go watch the series right now. Like, go start it, go watch it right now, like, 100% recommendation. I can't say that. I can't. It was a fun series, but that's about it. It was nothing crazy. So before I end this, I'm just gonna ask, how did, everybody feel about this series? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? I mean, how do you feel about everything that happened? How do you feel about how it went anime original? How do you feel about Yumiko's character? How do you feel about Suzui? How do you feel about some of the student council members being very irrelevant or not really having any purpose whatsoever in the series? I mean, do you think this series will ever have a possibility of getting a season 2? That is a good question, actually, I want to ask real quick before I do end this vid. Can it get a season 2 since this was anime original? I don't really know how anime original this episode was. Like, I have no idea, like, how far the anime original extent of this episode goes, but with the way it ended, it is open enough from my interpretation for a possibility of a season 2, if the series sells well and the manga does well and all that. I feel like there's enough open for a continuation, but there's enough closure there for anime onlys to be completely fine with and never have to worry ever again. I feel like that's kind of how the ending felt like to me. I felt like the way, the student council president, nothing really happened to her, and Yumiko is kind of like, hey, if we ever want to do a season 2, we can continue off where we left off, and let's just do it. Or, if the anime original really took it really far and it was completely different, then I don't know if it could have a season 2, but the way I got my impressions of it, there could be one. Just, it really depends on the sales of the series. And I don't think the series is relatively popular when it comes to Japan. I really don't know, but I'm assuming it's not popular at all, especially with how this ending got handled. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How did you feel about the series? And if you like my, Kakegurui videos, I am very thankful for that. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And if you want to support me and for my future content and videos, please, support me on Patreon. Link is in the description. And once again, thank you so much for watching these videos. I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.